Hi, I'm Rebecca from the Central London Careers Hub. Welcome to our podcast series, Spotlight. In this series, you'll hear from careers leaders showcasing their careers provisions, and also hearing from our cornerstone employers and partner employers.
Hi, Michele. I'm going to let you introduce yourself, your school, your role at school, and your journey to where you are now.
Okay, Jamie, thank you for having me here. My journey. Now, I fell into careers accidentally. In my first school, we only did up to age 16. So they were going to go on to college, and I thought they haven't got anything. Let me just support them. And I did some letters and invited them for interviews and stuff like that. And then that really took off. And then in my other job, I again fell into it, started to do more stuff like that. And then they asked me to be a careers lead and go into Teach First and do the course, the Teach First course. I did that, came back, but I left. So I hadn't been in careers for about a good 4 or 5 years. And then this opportunity came up here at Langdon Park School. And I thought, yeah, I'll go for it because I've done it before, very basically. And then I thought, yeah, I'll go for it and see where I can take it. And so it's been an eye-opener. Things have changed from the time that I've been there. It's like, so much to do. The Gatsby benchmarks have always been there. But it's just a question of, now we've got the Baker's Clause and stuff like that. And I weren't aware of those things. And now we've got the provider access policy. And again, it was like, okay, Michele, get your head around all of this and how we're going to move the kids forwards, because that's all I believe in. So I find that you have to be so innovative to get what you need from the kids. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And as
So I'm a associate assistant head teacher for RSHE and careers.
As that role and school then, how have you seen the careers provision change throughout time at Langdon Park or in your previous roles?
In my previous role, because I was just taking it on, and I had to do this course with the Teach First, I didn't really get much into it. But this year, being at Langdon Park and doing the whole careers provision, making sure the gaps benchmarks are mapped out properly. And I really wanted to make sure that everything that we did was meaningful and effective for the kids. So that's all I've been looking at and making sure we do all of that. And that's why we're 100% across the board.
You've been at Langdon Park for just 1 year so far, is that right?
I've been in Langdon Park for 4 years, and this is my first full academic year of doing careers.
I see. How have you seen, we're talking a few years in the past now, the pandemic, how has that affected careers provision at school and anything else?
Right, I guess with the pandemic, a lot of schools couldn't get the students out to go to work experience, and I think that's really affected us. And also the fact that, you have to have, a lot of companies aren't willing to take the students on because they need a DBS and whatever. So I think that is the bit that really hurt a lot of schools. So we've just got to find ways around it, and I found a way around it, and I was pleased that I did. And it was just a question of, everyone knows someone that works. So you got their parents, and their parents got friends, and their friends and aunties and uncles. We just reached out to the students' parents and said, look, they need to explore the workplace. And I think people get hung up about it's work experience, but it's not. It's about exploring the workplace, knowing that there's different roles within the workplace that they need to be able to understand. It's not, your parents are cleaner. Oh, they just clean. Well, no. There's other people in that workplace that they manage or they clean for, and you need to explore that. And one thing I've got out of this is that, even if a child turns around and says, oh, my parents are cleaner, I don't want to be a cleaner, they've got aspirations. They know that they don't want to do that. So we need to follow that through. What do they want to be? What do they want to do? How are we going to link that to the school's wider plan? So we all want the students to come out with good grades. How are we going to support that? What are the steps to support that in careers?
Have you seen a link between work or experiences of the workplace and the grades being achieved, the attainment of your students at school?
Well, because it's my first year, we haven't seen that transpire. So what we're trying to do now is to see if we can get that link going. So it's about making sure that they're on the right courses for the job that they want to do or the career that they want to achieve, and make sure that they have the aspirations and the know-how how to get to that point. So that's what we're trying to do more of now.
A part of that must be navigating the different pathways for your students once you're finding what their aspirations are. How do you navigate those pathways with each student individually?
Right, so what I'm doing is at the moment, which I'm trying to do, okay, is get all the students' aspirations. And like cookies, we know you're interested in this, or we know you're interested in that. We're gonna sort of like filter it and say, right, all of these kids want engineering, all of these kids want to be doctors. And so when anything pops up from the borough or outside of the borough, we're going to be targeting those students. I think that's the best way to go. Because if you're looking at their pathways, they need to know what they need to do. So if we know what they're want to do, and even if they change their mind, we could still play around with that. So yeah, it's going to be like a cookies thing. So that's what I call it, cookies. So because that's what they do. They look at what you like, and then they try to send you information about what you like, and I think that's the best way to play it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the survey's gone out for the provision. We're also targeting the students over the holiday. So I said, like, schedule all the Google forms over the holiday, so that we get more and more and more in. And then we've got a plan that whoever hasn't done it, we're going to, in the first September, when we come back in the first term, we're going to blitz them, get them in the computer rooms, get them doing the FSQ, get them doing all the surveys that they haven't done, so that we can now say, right, we've got this company, what we're going to do. And I don't want one-off workshops. I think one-off workshops is no good. So the plan would be to get the service provider, the company, to do maybe 4 workshops, which is going to be stepped, and give them what they need to understand. So if it's bricklaying or construction, plumbing, come in, talk about it, tell them how they can access it through apprenticeships, traineeships, whatever the case may be. And then from there, you should give them a taster of what it would be like to be a plumber. Can you fix this? Can you fix that? This is blocked or whatever. You have a little set. So we really want to reach out to those sort of companies that can support us on that journey. But equally, it's in their best interest. If you've got someone that you can give us time, who will give us that time, we're not answering for once every week, but answering like once every term or so, maybe 3 workshops or something, that you could have that relationship with the students, build that up, and you can have that one-to-one, okay, so why do you not like it anymore? Why do you like it? What aspects do you like? We want that. Yeah.
And that'll naturally see achievements towards a number of the Gatsby benchmarks, easily benchmarks 5 and 6.
Yeah.
But from those local employers who are involved in that delivery as well, we can link local LMI, local labour market information, into the delivery of those workshops, insight days at those places of work.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. You want those relationships. Some of our students don't want to move out of the area. They want to be in the area. So it's good for them to capitalise on that with our students, and then they can follow them through, So, and they can maybe offer them apprenticeships and stuff like that. And I love the fact T-levels are great. I really want to jump on board with that, so that we can get those employers in and the kids can, go into apprenticeship straight off, and it reduces our NEET figures. It's just so much, it's endless.
You've mentioned the Future Skills Questionnaire, the FSQ, and I understand you've championed it in this academic year. Can you tell me first how you've implemented that at school and got such a high number of returns from students?
What we did was we wanted the FSQ done. We didn't think to ourselves that it wasn't going to get done. We wanted to champion it throughout, and we still are. I mean, obviously, there's still students that still haven't done it. So what we did was we done a lesson in our extended tutorial time. We did a lesson, got all the tutors to do a lesson on how to access the FSQ, and we set it as homework. So one of the things for me was, if we were going to take careers seriously in our school, we needed to embed it in all of our systems. So we got it as homework, and if you don't do the homework, you get detention. We got it in achievement points, so it's a balance. So when we said the FSQ, we said, right, we're going to set it as homework. All of you go out and do it as homework. We sent the template of how to get onto it, and we just kept doling it out. And just if the students were in the computing room, we talked to the IT people and said, look, if you get them to do the FSQ while they're in there, and because they touched on most of the year groups, it was good for them to say, okay, let's do the FSQ and then go on to it. I mean, obviously some kids are like, yeah, I've done it. I'll say, okay, let me see your name, detention. But that's just me. Because I think that you should be doing it because it's best for you. So we just want this information so that we can know how to move forward. So we're yet to analyse it, but when we do, I'll come up with a plan. And that's who I am. And so we're still sending it out over the holiday, making sure. Also, I created a booklet for the parents, support guide for the parents, just throughout the whole of what we do as a school, for every single year group. And I've told them that they will be getting careers homework. So the parents are like, okay, where do we go for the careers homework? Oh, Miss said Google Classroom. So I'm going to check now. So we're giving the parents ammunition to look and say, your child hasn't got nothing to do. There's always something to do. And I'm that little devil on your shoulder that's tapping away.
So you have parents, guardians, carers invested in the careers provision at school.
Yeah. I mean, what happened was we didn't know whether they knew anything about us. So I said, right, let's get a questionnaire going. In Parents' Evening, went round, done the survey. Most of them weren't aware, over 75% weren't aware that there was a careers website, webpage on our school website. So they gave us their email. We said, are you willing to come to a workshop? We got their emails. I think about 80% said they were willing to come for some workshop, and I thought that was great. So now we can target them. And I think for me, it's all about targeting rather than, let's just wait and see if someone turns up. So now we've got your email address. I'm using that. That's my ammunition. I'm going to be emailing you all the time. This is happening. You're going to get fed up with me. But you know what? At least you know what's going on in our school and you know what we're doing for your child. So that's the way I'm using it all.
Yeah, absolutely. You've mentioned you're using platforms that exist already to be targeting parents' evenings, etc. Are you getting any feedback?
At the moment, it's hard to tell, but most of the parents that we've talked to on a one-to-one basis during PRD days, and PRDs are progress review days with the parents from all the year groups, everything has been positive. There's been a lot of positive feedback. They love what we're trying to do now, whereas before they never knew what we were doing. So even when we talk to them about the student bulletin, where we advertise, the job roles, the latest jobs that are coming out, or the latest workshops that are coming out for the year Key Stage 4 and Key Stage 5, then they're like, okay, we're understanding more. So I think the next stage will be to put it onto our website, because you want to try and get them on every single avenue that you can, all the forms of communication, even on the newsletters and stuff like that. We really want to get hold of them and just say, yeah, this is what we're doing for your child. If you need support as well, we're doing workshops on CV writing for them, because they're looking for jobs. Some of them are looking for jobs, so we need to support them as well. And if they believe that we're supporting them, which we want to, then they will have more faith in us in what we're doing for their child as well.
Pushing awareness, inviting feedback and interactions with parents and guardians, and then having that platform that already exists to be engaging with parents. That's fantastic. I'm going to take it back to... No problem. I'm going to take it back to the Future Skills Questionnaire.
Okay.
Have students shared how long it's typically taken them to complete the FSQ?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, because I teach BTEC, I have the kids in the computing room and I tell them, right, have you done the FSQ? I'm always militant about that. And they're like, oh, God, Miss Bennett. So I say, right, let's see you do it. Have you done it? Yeah, Miss, I've done it. Let me look. oh, they've done it. I could check because it tells you that they've completed it. Those that haven't completed it, we looked at that on Thursday, and it takes them about 5 minutes or less. It's really quite quick, especially for those that can read it. If they turn around and say, oh, yeah, I just pressed anyone. I said, really? So what am I meant to do with that information? So I said, you've got to do it properly, So some of them, most of them are doing it properly. And then when you hear, oh, I've done mine. Oh, miss, look, it took me about 5-6 minutes. And then I said, well done for doing it properly. And then the other one went, oh, I should have done it properly then. I said, you think? So we get a lot of that,
And you mentioned earlier that you explain to students why they're doing it. I guess you explain as well what the impact will be. What are your plans for using the outcome of the FSQ? What are you expecting to see?
I'm not sure what I'm expecting to see yet because it's the first time they've done it. And but whatever information it gives me, I will have a plan on how to combat that. So if they turn around and said that they didn't like school or whatever, we'll look at the reasons why. Everything I look at is why that hasn't happened. So, for instance, when the parents said that they weren't aware of our website, then I'm making sure there's actions to make sure they now know that there is a website. And that means like emailing them, have you seen our latest news? Have you seen our latest news? We've got your email now. And for the students, it's similar. I'll look at that information and I'll act on it because I believe that if they're going to say something, we should act on it rather than, it's not everything thing you can act on, but the majority, if they're saying something that I personally think we can fix, let's fix it. It's a whole school.
Brill. You've mentioned work experiences of the workplace outside of school. Can you tell me which year groups went out for work experience placements, the process of securing those placements, and then if there was any feedback or what the outcome was from those students returning from those placements?
Right, so it was year 9 and year 10, and our thinking behind it was year 9s were going to do their options, so it gave them a great insight into where to go with that, what pathway they wanted to go, and looking at what qualifications they needed to be in those roles. And then with year 10, they did it in the May half term, so they knew, gosh, we need to have these GCSEs secured. We need to take it a bit more seriously. So in that process, we made sure that the parents were notified that they needed to support us. We asked for their support and we said that this is what we want from you. If you can have a family friend, yourself, or extended members of the family that could allow your child to go to the workplace with them and explore the workplace. It was just any day over the half term. It didn't need to be for 2 days. They didn't need work experience. We surpassed the DBS because it's a parent bringing their child into workplace. We got good results for that. I was really surprised about the workplaces they got and also that the number of parents that said, yes, first off, So obviously the parents were thinking on the same lines of us. This is a good for them to see. So from there, we've had some really good outcomes. And it's about not just knowing about the workplace, but what is it that you want to do? So we had one incident where we looked at the booklet and the person, you had to reflect on the job. So we could keep track of what's going on and put it onto the Compass Plus. So every child is on the Compass Plus, and we're putting the information as we go along. And the child turned around and said she loves working with kids. She really loves working with little ones, and but the wages is just way too low for her to want to consider doing that anymore. So it's either very positive that they wanted to pursue that career, or it's positive that they don't want to. But either way, we're looking at the information and thinking to ourselves, great, you now got an idea of what you want to do. I remember when I first worked in my PGCE year, I was teaching business, and the student, I said, what's your aspirations? What do you want to do? And I always ask that in my business classes. And, I always talk about business because I've been working in industry for over 20 years. So I tend to bring those stories in. And I've worked in so many different fields so that the students actually get a real feel. Miss, you've worked here, you worked there. Sometimes they tell me, Miss, how many jobs have you had? But, that's them being funny. And I asked her, what do you want to do? She said she wants to work in Primark. And I thought, Primark? And then I realised, I caught myself, because at the end of the day, at least she's got aspirations. She doesn't, it's not like she wants to do nothing. And if Primark is what you want to do for your future, so be it. That's what you want to do. Higher aspiration for me, it means actually going out there and getting a job and wanting to do something. It doesn't mean that you have to reach for the stars. You don't have to be an accountant. You don't have to be a lawyer. It's like, do you have aspirations to actually want to work and contribute to society? And for me, if that's what she wanted to do, that's what she wanted to do. We need shop assistants after all, don't we? So, yeah, go for it.
You've mentioned you've worked in business. You've not always been in school. So tell us about that part of your career journey and any advice for students as someone who's not a school staff member.
Right, okay. So first of all, I've been working in industry for over 20 odd years. So the first thing I've done various roles. I've worked for different industries, from gaming all the way to asset stripping companies. Worked with my brother, setting up a company. So I've done a variety of different roles, and, they all bring different things, and you can always, all the skills that I have always been transferable. But one thing I would say for any student watching this, always be proactive. And that's the thing that companies want to see. So I'm always proactive. I'm always... Timekeeping is a very big part of it as well. So you can't carry on being late. I love my bed at times, but, I have to get up, and, that's just part of life,
What do you think organisations, businesses expect to see from students when they arrive on day one or when they enter the job market, or what's missing?
I think at the moment there's quite a few skills that are missing. Like organisation skills, communication skills, problem solving. I think people find that quite difficult. And you know what? One of the things that I realised is that as I was growing up as a child, and I can reflect back now, all the little rhymes, all the little, spot the difference, those are the things that help you have those skills that are transferable. So even the other day I was playing this game, and it was like match the cards, and it was like eye for detail. Can you find where the cards are? Can you have a good memory of doing that? And sad to say, my memory was 95. But then I improved. After I realised how the game was played, I've improved into my real age, which was quite good, and a bit younger. But no, it's all of those skills that we take for granted. I mean, I expect so much from the students. My expectations are extremely high. And, they're not extremely high. They're my expectations. And I think that what we seem to forget is that we need to put those expectations on the students, and we need to show them those skills. And that's why I've going back to what I'm doing now. I'm going into the employability skills and making sure that those things are tight with the students so that they can bring those into their classroom, and also know that they can transfer them into the workplace, because there's too many skills, adaptability, resilience, all of those things, they need them to go forward. And if we're not showing them how to do those, because of the pandemic, because of all sorts of different things that have happened in their lives, kids, all these outside factors that are for not allowing their parents, the children, to be children like we were growing up, So we've got different sort of like field to play with, because we've got to build those skills up. Whereas they were built with us as we grew up. It's not the same anymore. So there's all of those things that we need to do. We've got a lot of groundwork to cover.
I'm pleased you've mentioned skills that are missing, because that brings us back to the Future Skills Questionnaire. the whole reason for that FSQ is to find skills that students are missing, knowledge gaps as well. And you'll know that where we analyse the results from those FSQs, that's where we then tailor what needs to be done next. And it sounds like that's what you're going to be doing in the next academic year when we look at those results. How are you seeing the careers landscape or the pathway landscape develop recently?
I'm glad that it's changing. I think more students are now looking towards doing apprenticeships, which is, it's understandable. The interest. And I was watching Martin Lewis talking about, 30 years and then you finish your debt. And who wants that? You want to be able to start your family, have your home and stuff like that. So, to get the skills that are needed to support the student with their academic pathway, doing an apprenticeship is the best thing to do. But the problem is it's becoming more and more competitive because there's not enough. And sometimes you really want those level 2 apprenticeships to come out. And what about the SEND kids? We really want something for them. Level 1 apprenticeships, we need those for those who cannot do the academic pathway. And they're just as valuable. So we've got quite a number of kids that are, SEND. We've got a number of students that might not get the full 5 GCSEs or more to go on to A-levels. And we really want to be able to give them something that they're more comfortable with. Not everyone is the academic route, and we've got to be able to do something more. And it's appealing to those companies to tell us what can they do. How can you support us? You want these skills? We can give you those skills. Just, open up your floodgates a bit more for the vacancies and we'll be able to fill them.
There's a call to action then for employers to be championing and offering more apprenticeships, different levels.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, if once they do that, they'll get someone who's going to be loyal to them for quite a number of years. And, they're going to be the demographics that we come from and the number of free school meals that we have, students that we have on roll, they will be with you for a very long time. I mean, some of the students say, "Miss, have you got any work experience, paid work experience?" I said, "No, that's called a job, my friend." So, if you want a job, then you need to go and do that. But there's a lot of kids are not really wanted to go the academic route but feel forced to because the government says you have to be there until you're 18. So what we're trying to do is say, okay, if they've got to be here till they're 18, they really want to work, then what have you got on offer for us? And I think more employers need to go the apprenticeship route. They benefit just as much as the child does.
Certainly. And we're talking about a school in Tower Hamlets Borough, so we're looking for local employers, but within just a few miles of central London.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Tower Hamlets have got so many different fields that are growing. The labour market's looking good over there. They've got lots of building sites that are there. We need more and more people to come forward and say, "Look, Langdon Park, here we are. Come and work with us," and we'll be there.
Where would you direct employers to who are considering offering apprenticeships for the first time or more apprenticeships?
So we can go through the Careers Hub, which we always use anyway, and we advertise those roles to our students, or the local authority can get hold of us easily. We're available. Okay. So Masuma Begum, she does a lot of good work with us. She's our careers coordinator. Just get in contact with us. We've got our website. Have a look at what we do, have a look at what we want, and get in contact, and we'll be able to support what your needs are, and we'll, make some kids very happy.
Fantastic. Tell us a little bit more about careers team at school, because it's not just yourself. You're in a quite a healthy position at school where there's at least more than one person. It's a team championing careers at school.
Yes, as far as I'm concerned, all of us are championing careers in our department. We've got it in our curriculum. All the teachers have got it on their displays, inclusive, diverse displays around the school, promoting their subjects and what their careers linked to their subjects are. We do this thing called a unit overview, and now we've got the careers link, the RSHE link, and cross-curricular links so that the kids can see exactly how careers fits in with everything that we do. The first lesson at school going to be about what careers are in your subject. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, every single one of us are championing careers. So it's me and Masuma that are the immediate team. I'm the careers lead. Masuma is the coordinator. Masuma and I work very well close together. I'm very innovative, and Masuma looks at me and thinks, oh my God, I've never had so much work to do before. But, you know, anything I ask for, she will come up with it. She works a lot with The Switch and all these other different companies. She does careers fair. She's invaluable. She's invaluable because she knows so much as well. She's doing her level 6 in careers as well. So we work really well. We've got careers advisors coming in as well, and they help us. So we've got a really healthy immediate team and a very good external team. You know, we're the core.
What's been the process of getting the entire school team, all curriculum teachers, on board with embedding careers into curriculum?
It's speaking to the heads of faculty, and once they see the benefits of it all, they're willing to come on board with it. So, for instance, when I said to them, okay, we want the year 12 to do 30 hours work experience, I said, but they've got to be linked to proper job titles. So we had data entry, environmentalist manager, display managers and stuff like that. And it took the workload off the teachers, and the students done everything that they wanted for that department. From there, I said, look, what do you do for careers in your curriculum? And they always did something, but we wanted it more tangible, that we can see what they were doing, so that we weren't thinking that we've got to start from scratch all the time. So when they gave us that list, we put it into our Compass Plus, and we started to grow that. So we've seen so much that the departments were doing. And then I said to them, okay, I've asked for this information. The next step was, how can you evidence it? Because it's all very well you saying that you're doing it. So if I went into your room, how do you evidence it? Most of them couldn't. So I said, okay, what we need now is the evidence. And once we get the evidence, then we can say, yes, we certainly do this, and this is how we do it, and this is why we do it. And so now we've got all that evidence in front of us. So the teachers were on board in what they're doing, and they see the value of the students understanding why they're doing this subject, what it can get them. And once they can see the value in that, why not be on board?
Do you see students providing feedback?
Yeah, the students do provide feedback. They're like, oh, Miss, I understand now why I'm doing that. And when I do something like, what's it called? I do the economic cycle. And then I say, okay, what will happen here? What jobs do you think it would have affected? Where did you hear about the depression before? And what subject was that? And they say, oh, English in mice and men. And now they're doing all the linkage. And it's good to see that there's conversations happening. A lot of the students are coming up to me and say, oh, Miss, have you got any more work experience? Or have you got this? Or Miss, do you know what's coming up next? And we've got to really open up those conversations in the classroom, because once we open up those conversations, because all these teachers know someone that's working and they could bring it into their lessons, and it changes the atmosphere of the lesson, because next minute you've got all these conversations that the kids want to have, but then you can do your lesson, and that's how you see it. You do that. You bring the conversations into the classroom. For the next academic year, for me, once I get this assessment done, where the students are going to tell us exactly what they need, what they're aspiring to do, then for me, I'm waiting for... I've got some companies on board already, but like I said, I'm going to be doing cookies with the aspirations, filtering it down, who wants to do engineering, who wants to do plumbing, who wants to do construction, all of that stuff, and then get these companies on board to say, right, let's do a project with these students that are looking to come the next plumbers of the, in 2026 or 2027. See if we can offer them an apprenticeship, a level 2 apprenticeships, and trying to work with the companies to sort of like take on these students if they see someone who is like, great, oh, look at this person, they're so proactive, they're really into it. I'd like to take them on board once they finish their year 11 and do a level 2 apprenticeship and grow with that child. And I think that's what the next steps for me are.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
What challenges are you finding with meeting everything in the provider access legislation?
The provider access legislation is good. However, the problem for me is that it really targets the higher year groups, whereas I want it to target from year 7. We really want to get those employers in from year 7, talking about apprenticeships, doing the skills with the younger students, because it's those skills that are missing that we want to be able to say, right, if you do like one-to-one interviews from a young age, you get used to talking to people, doing more oratory sort of things, speaking in public. They become more confident in that. Looking at resilience skills, looking at, adaptability skills, problem-solving skills. If they came in at an early age, those skills, the students will be, experts at it by the time they finish year 11. But the challenge is getting those employers coming in at very from the onset, from year 7. That's what I would like to see, and that's what my plan is. And we've already started to work on those plans, getting those employers in for an assembly. First of all, do the assembly about traineeships, apprenticeships, all those different types of pathways, and then building it up as they go along. So year 7s, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all have that access. And then also for them, employers to come in and start doing some workshops with our younger ones. I think that's the most important thing. If we want to bridge those skill gaps and the shortages of all those skills, we need to come in early. And once we do that, then we'll be better off, in a better situation. And the students will have more of a firm idea of what they want to do going along. So, that's the one thing that I think employers need to look at. How can we target the year 7s, 8s and 9s? I think they might think, well, year 7's too young, but it isn't. It's the right age. When is it when do you start? At the end where they want to start, it's like year 10. But by then, your schools are thinking, no, it's their year where they've got to be concentrating on their exams. You can't take year 11s out. You can't take year 13s out. So for me, if you give them all the things that they need from year 7 to 9, fine. Now we can look at more tailored stuff in year 10, because you can play about with year 10 for a little bit, but then you wouldn't need to do so much at the ending, because they've already got all those key things that you need, the key skills, the key knowledge. They can make better decisions, better informed decisions as they're going along. And that's what we really need from the employers. Come in earlier.
Do you find any employers have an appetite already to be engaging with those younger year groups, that key stage 3? And if not, how can we create that appetite?
I haven't, like I said, I've only been in this role for a year, at Langdon Park. So I've only been in it for a year. I haven't seen any employer reach out to us for year 7. It's always for year 10, 11, 12 or 13. So I don't know. I haven't really thought about how that landscape is going to look like at the moment in terms of, coming in. But I'm sure there's little programs that they can do. And if they want support from me, hey, I'm open to it. Okay, I'll come, I'll sit with you and I'll say, right, this is what we need, this is how we can do it. And, using my teacher expertise to support them in bringing those skills into the schools for Key Stage 3.
So call to action there for employers and providers is approach the expert at the school, approach the Careers Hub.
Yeah.
We will bring you on that journey to engage with those students. We will guide you there and share the reason for that.
of course, and also we'll share our expertise in how to design what it should look like. And that's the main thing, because maybe they don't know what it looks like and how to do it. And we know what we want. The Careers Hub, careers teachers, careers leads, we know what we want. We know what we're looking for. And in a way they do, but they just don't know how to give it to the younger year groups.
Michele, thank you for everything you've shared. It's all been so valuable. If there's any call to action for other careers leaders, other school members of staff, teachers, what would that be from you?
I think one of the main things is that the whole school should be on board. There's room for growth all the time and be innovative, try out new things, look at different ways of doing things in your school. And make sure everyone knows the value of careers, because I know we get caught up in our roles of being maths teachers and looking at the curriculum and thinking about outcomes. But we have to understand that careers supports your outcomes in its entirety. And if we're not doing enough for careers for our young people, then they don't really value what's going on at the end. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them won't really see that. And there's so many kids that become disengaged by the time they get to year 10, and we lose those kids quite easily. So we need to make sure that we are always focusing on what careers is going to be like and have those conversations all the time about careers. Careers is everywhere. You cannot stop it. So have those conversations. Always have those conversations in that classroom. If they're lining up in lunchtime, okay, what do you want to be? Just keep touching on it. And then it gets them thinking about what they want to be. And I'm glad that careers is embedded in so many of the things we do at school, because it's now a reminder, you're doing this to have a career. To all the students, everyone looks at their unit overview for every single lesson they do. They've got that unit overview that says, these are linked to our careers, these are linked to careers, these are linked to careers. So they can't not look around and make sure, one of the things that I would say is that make sure that your displays are inclusive. Make sure that when you have people coming in to talk about the apprenticeships, it represents the demographics of your school, and make sure that the people that come in are quite young, because if they're old, the kids switch off. They have to be looking like them, sounding like them, and being roughly the same age as them.
Where would you direct any other careers leader to go to now, following all this valuable information that you've shared?
Right, I would say the best thing to do is to use your enterprise coordinator. My one's absolutely brilliant. Amy, she does so much for us. I just phone her up and say, actually, I'm stuck here, or can you just work with me on this idea? And she's very invaluable. I get so much from her. She's just a phone call away all the time. And I think at one point I called her 4 times within 10 minutes. And every time she picked up the phone, she was still happy to hear from me. But they know what you're trying to achieve, and they're there to support you in every avenue. So, yeah, the Enterprise Advisor is the best place to go.
Fantastic.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening today. For any more information and next steps, if you've heard anything today you want to follow up on, please go to the website at the bottom of the video or speak to your enterprise coordinator. Thank you.